Okay, so now at the true season 1 finale of Total Divas, I'll just give it a subtitle of two of the world's most awkward conversations and one good conversation. Actually, there's three of the most awkward conversations and one good conversation. So I'll begin with the most bizarre one. So Natalie's out with the divas. She gets drunk. She calls Steph. Leaves a bunch of bizarre voicemails. Is really scared to talk to Steph. Steph has a really basic, if you feel this way, come talk to me. You will be a Divas champ. We know your lineage. We love you. We respect what you've done. We do get that you want to do more. We get that. You know, your time will come. Great. Steph comes out around like $1 million on these. I don't know. I'm pretty sure they probably edited it heavily, so she looks fantastic. But if that exchange was genuine, she comes off like a pretty solid business person and a decent human being. So that was one of the awkward ones. This is also where Daniel Bryan and Brie Bella get married, or actually go through the engagement process. Yeah. So when he asks her to marry him, he asks her to marry him. When he asks her to marry him, yes. My wife's pregnancy brain seeps into me during sleep. So, you know, beautiful location, picturesque. You know, he even has a little speech planned out. You know, the ocean's going on forever. I want this to be forever. He knew the amount of years, months, days since the first time they kissed. Beautiful, epic. Asks her, she says yes, brings the family out. Good thing she said yes. Had she said no, it would have been a very awkward evening where everyone flies out to Big Sur and then have to fly back. But beautiful, touchy moment, fantastic. These two seem like they're absolutely tailor-made for each other. Now we get to Ava Marie and the dude that she's known for like 3 months, who she's engaged to, who she's probably going to get married. Takes dude home to meet her family. Now, she's Italian-Mexican. I want you to think about those two cultures very heavily in the ideas of honor and of family. Now, show up with a random dude who has a penchant for not wearing a full shirt, and if he does, it's like a heavy V-neck. And then more or less saying that he's asking for, Ava's hand in marriage. Even has her name tattooed on it. They're like, well, you already got a ring? She then brings out the ring to more or less say, I'm asking for your hand, I'm asking permission to marry your daughter. Oh, by the way, I've already got the ring on her. Of course, that goes south. She then leaves, decides they're just kind of like randomly elope. Later on, while they're discussing the arguments, take that flight out after your match in Orlando, go to Vegas and elope. That in her mind, she's already married to him, but would prefer for her father to walk her down the aisle. So the whole conversation they had before, like the heat of the moment, we just get eloped because I love you and I want to do this. Now, like, probably a week later, seems like a bad idea. So poor random dude has got, Ava's name tattooed on him, and it's probably going to go nowhere. Like any relationship based upon meeting somebody at CrossFit, rarely seeing each other because they didn't mention their schedules are very hectic, and then proposing after knowing somebody for about 3 months. And then, in case that didn't go worse, Nikki brings out all of her girlfriends to hang out in John's palace. They then start grilling her about kids and about marriage. John takes all these women out for dinner. There's a lot of them. There's probably like 13 women. And they pretty much grill him on, like marriage and kids. And it's not all those like one person brings up the knock, kind of like, they kind of slowly mute the discussion, talks about. No, they pretty much seem to badger him. And John's sit there like, so I invite you all out to my house. I rent a giant limo. I've given you booze. Taken you to a nice restaurant. I'm going to pay this bill. And this is what I get in for dinner conversation. So when are you going to get married? When y'all going to have kids? He comes out and says, I have a very selfish lifestyle. I was married once, it went south. It went horrible. Given how selfish I am in my life, I don't want to have kids. Like, you're very political in your answers. God, it seems like you probably rehearsed this. Yes, my first marriage went horrible. Absolutely, completely, and totally horrible. I am almost never home. In fact, he mentioned, I've talked to people who are the kids of professional wrestlers who never really saw their dad for the first 10 years of their lives. And it's unfair to the kid. Fantastic reasoning. When you look at most of the second generation stars, yeah, they probably do have a decent amount of other emotional issues with their fathers not being present the majority of their lives, especially in the more formative years. And then, Nikki goes off to go for the Brie Daniel Bryan engagement party, sees little kids, oh, they're going to get married, oh, I see little kitties. Goes back and tells John, and John's like, listen, from halfway through the first date, I more or less told you. I don't picture myself getting married, I don't picture myself having kids. So she's like, I'd like to have both of those. No, I'm not budging on those. But you have said that, things could change. And he gives it just this dead stare. If I give you any indication that I'm going to change on these, I'm sorry. If those are what you need to be happy, I can't do that for you. And I was like, wow. The fact that John didn't like waffle, like, maybe. Just string you along for a couple years and be like, no. But to be honest, the way John has been going physically for the past couple years, always having a major injury, I picture probably in about 5 years he will be forced to retire, almost kind of like how Edge was. So maybe if Nikki's still with him for what would be about years 6 or 7, maybe John's life will end up taking a slight turn, which will therefore make their marriage and subsequent children bearing be decent. Otherwise, I guess he'll never be the youngest WWE champion when John Cena's child is born, who will eventually run roughshod over either division, and will probably, if it's a girl, become the first woman to ever win the tag team gold by herself.